What's going on, everyone? So I'm gonna give you tips or 4 steps for asking for a raise, and 2 things you shouldn't do while you're trying to ask for a raise. Now, I know it's very hard to understand this. I used to run an 8-figure company, and I used to have all types of people come up to me, ask for raises, ask for this, and this is just from my experience and what I learned as a owner of a company, as a boss, as a manager, how to become successful at asking for a raise without looking like a snob, without hurting your position, and how to put yourself in a better position to more likely get a raise. Because at the end of the day, inflation isn't keeping up with salary, and you can leave the company, but if you have a really good company, it doesn't make sense to leave the company because they might give you the best work-life balance, but the money's not there, and you're just trying to get a little extra money. So let's get into this. Okay, I know asking for a raise can be scary. When you play the scenario in your mind, you think all the probability that can go wrong. Let's get over that. The truth is, it's always hard to ask about money, and it's always hard to think in this situation. So let's get into these steps because we all understand it's hard to go to your boss and say I need a raise or I need this, and but you don't want to sound so snobby, or you don't want to sound so bad when you ever do it. So let's go through these steps. So number one, make sure you deserve your raise before you ask, because some people will always complain how much money they make, but they don't really do anything at work. So before you go ask for a raise, you need to go in there and say, if you're gonna want this raise, you need to prove why you deserve it. If you're struggling to keep up with current workload due to, you know, lack of coworkers, lack of help, or lack of other thing, and they're really relying on you, you need to put your portfolio why you deserve this raise. Do you deserve it? Because if you're just struggling to keep up with the current workload or plainly lack certain skills, you might not get a raise. Because how are you going to convince your boss that you deserve a raise if you're lacking the skills that it requires for him to pay you more? So before you go in there and ask for it, ask yourself the following question. Do I get a lot of feedback from my bosses? Are my performance review good? Do I go the extra miles to get the job done? And do I work well with my coworker? Because I have some significant accomplishment in the last 3 to 6 months? Am I creating an extra value for the company? If you can answer yes to most of these questions, then you most likely deserve a raise, and you can come to the table and be able to do this to negotiate. So number two, know how much to ask for when you're negotiating a raise. You need to know how much, and generally I tell you before you approach the manager ask for raise, make sure you do your research and due diligence and get backing on how much other people are making at other companies. Do not compare it at your current company because that'll make you look bad. What you want to do is compare it with, let's say you work for Dell and then you went to NVIDIA. And we say, hey, I'm going to enter at Dell. I love Dell, but NVIDIA has this for this product engineer. It's the same role and they're offering 5 or 10% more. Can I get a ability to match this because this is what they are offering for the same position? Now you have the research and you have the company to compare to. You aren't throwing anyone under the bus at your current company. So you have an idea. Now it's a good idea to learn about the company's specific raise figures. Like if you're gonna ask for an increase, I generally tell you ask for a percentage than a dollar amount. Just because a percentage is easier to negotiate than just saying I need $1, I need $2. Always say, hey, I need a 3.1% raise. These people pay 5% more, and it makes sense if you bump me up so I don't have to leave, because now, even though I'm getting paid less, I got a raise, I'm happy, and it's not enough of money for me to make that jump to the other company. Now, another option is reach out to recruiters on LinkedIn, and they can help you and help you by giving you a general ballpark how much these other companies are paying, and you can get this data together. So you can ask for 10 or 20% more money on your current making without seeming greedy. So if you get a say, hey, I'm making $60,000, you can say, hey, I want a 10% raise or a 20% raise, and it'll give you the $66,000 or $72,000 a year. And if you want to talk about dollar amount, and just say 10%, 20%, and it's easier for them to work with, just because if you ask for $1, $2, $5, $10, they're gonna sit there and try to figure out what is that percentage anyway. So just give them that percentage, and it'll make you look better because it looks like you did your research. Now, whenever you do give them that, your third step is make an inventory of your contribution to the workplace. Why is that important? So if you come to me and give me, hey, I finished all these projects all on time, no headaches, you haven't heard from them, but you have nothing but compliments. This is the portfolio that says, okay, we need to keep him. He's keeping everything on track, and we should give him the raise because he did bring us the salary from other companies that possibly could scout him, and he was also coming to us with a reasonable pay increase. So you're putting yourself in a better situation because now you got the ammo to back up what you're talking about. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to convince your boss. How are you going to convince your boss if you start by coming up with list of achievement of the past year before you start talking about how much money you can save the company, how much money you have been saving the company, how much you've been increasing the income of the company from your job. So even if your job is a maintenance person, technician, and you're costing the company money, you can always say, this is how much money I really saved you. And I did this repair for $20,000, but if I had these other people do it, it would have been $60,000. And if you add them all up for the last 36 months and say I saved you $500,000, that number looks way better than saying I need a raise because I'm working hard. So understand that. And number 4, make a move. After you made the list accomplished, you're ready to ask to get your boss to say you're right and you deserve the raise. Now, it's very hard to do this, and you don't want to put them in a situation. First thing you have to do is keep in mind you need to approach your manager with company in planning stage to create a budget. Otherwise, the salary budget might already be in place. So you can come at the wrong time of year, and they can't do nothing about it. And they're going to just tell you, hey, I'm sorry, we can't do nothing. So you're going to feel downhearted. So if you tell them, okay, while I did all this stuff, can we budget for my pay increase? And they can consider giving you instead of 3%, a 13% pay raise at the end of the year. And just make sure you get all this in email and writing and work it with HR, because then it makes you feel like you're a team player. You're trying to work with them, because budgeting and it's very important for these managers and owners. So talk about budgeting and helping them to help yourself to get this pay raise. So those are my 4 tips, or my 4 steps on getting a pay raise. Now, let's talk about the 2 things to avoid like a plague. You do not want to do these 2 things because you're going to make yourself look bad, and they more likely won't give you a pay raise. So the first one is, don't mention money in a group. In a workplace, it's important, if you want your career group, don't talk about money. It's very hard. People get upset with each other, and you don't really know what someone brings to the table. So don't say how much money you really make or talk to people about the money. I don't think it's a bad thing, but if you do that, you don't know how much someone actually works. All you do is see the service amount if you're a fellow coworker. Now, Number two, don't compare yourself to other people when you're going into these raises situation. If you do that, you're gonna be like, hey, I do more work than Bobby. But how do you know you really do more work than Bobby? You don't know what he does after hours. You don't know what he does for the company. You don't know how much money he saved them. You don't know what he developed for the company. You just don't know. So do not compare yourself to others, because once you start doing that, you're gonna put yourself in a situation where they're gonna want to pick one or the other person, and it's just gonna cause a bad situation in the company. So those are the two things you want to avoid. So like and subscribe to my video.